What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. We're getting ready for our live session. Today is Valentine's Day, and we have coming up upon us a 3-day weekend in the US. We have President's Day on Monday. We have a big week ahead of us with what I'm calling on Friday blockbuster. What was I calling? I don't even remember. Blockbuster data release. I'm not sure. Euro on the move this morning. Finally, the dollar is finally coming off a tiny bit after this big, enormous stretch and move. Why is the dollar coming off? I would love to hear your opinions from what I see and understand. All as I see was that it's just a reason to take profit. Retail sales came in as expected. I would love to know a catalyst if anyone's got one, but the euro is on the move. Euro's on the move, strongest now of the session versus all pairs. It looks like that momentum has a good chance of continuing. Y7, good to see you. Mima, Alberto, we haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. About a half hour to US equity opens. Equities look like they're going to be opening flat this morning. Just a quick check in on Tesla to see that it was up 5% yesterday. Trying to get gold is bid today again. Gold looks like it's getting ready here. Let's take a look at gold. Let me step back here with y'all. This is the pattern I'm watching on gold. And I'm waiting for a breakout to the upside over here. It looks like it's getting ready for the next leg up. If and when that comes, I want to be a part of it. Tupac, Fox, Mima, Gabe. Happy day to everybody. Let's see what kind of fight the dollar puts in over here right now. Let's jump down to a small time frame. I just want to get a nice little look with you right now as we're getting going. Here's the 1 hour. Dollar has, if the dollar, I would say, closes below this area of support right here today, if that were to happen, then I think there's a chance of this move continuing. So Fridays for the last few weeks have been heavy risk on days going into the weekend. Not so sure that's going to continue this week. I think the traders might have a little bit more of a risk appetite going into this weekend. All right. We're going to do run through of a list in just a few minutes. Want to give a few people the opportunity to get on board before we do that. We're about half hour before US equities opening. And again, euro looks bid right now. Aside from the euro, the Canadian dollar is very strong today. Let's take a look down at the Canadian dollar, US dollar. Came in, you can see this trend line support over here. This resistance was rejected. I'm looking at the 4 hour right now. That's fine. Let me bump up to the 8 hour. This resistance was rejected. I like looking at it on the 4 hour right here right now anyway. And this trend line support is holding so far. Now, is it the trend line support or is it a horizontal support? You can see over here where my mouse is. I'm not sure. It could be either one, but it looks like it is the trend line support that's actually in play and holding. Break below, I think we're coming down at least down to this support area, if not this trend line support down here. So if we do break down, I think that we're going to see a continuation. And again, the dollar, which has just been bid, is now coming off also against the euro a little bit. So let's see if that weakness translate into further moves here. Australian dollar still working against this resistance, this trend line resistance. Interesting that you can see that both commodity currencies, the US dollar and Canadian dollar, and the Australian dollar, US dollar, trading off that same trend line in a reverse situation. Both, if they're able to make it through, and if the Australian dollar makes it through this big resistance right here, then again, that also has a chance of following through. Steve, Blair. Yeah, let's take a look at the pound New Zealand dollar. Let's take a look at the Australian dollar, US dollar, and then Farzan will go back to look at gold. Let's start with the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Again, normally we've been seeing on Fridays risk off bid. I'm not sure that's going to happen this Friday. Let's see. Here we are making a series of higher lows and also lower highs. So we're getting ready to break one way or another here on the Australian dollar, US dollar. You have, of course, you're between heavy resistance, which I'm looking to be taken out. And then you also have nice support down here, right? So you're kind of in no man's land. You're definitely in no man's land with inside bars. This is just the 8-hour, and you're looking at 1, now 2 inside bars. So kind of easy to play this in the fact that you could use the London session to see if we break up or down. And even if we did break up and then that was reversed to the downside, that's where you want to get out and follow the momentum here to see whether or not we have any type of risk on or risk off into the weekend over here. So I like the fact that you have from all the way up here, you have a series of lower highs, and you can see that now you're getting higher lows as well. You could put a trend line from here to here. It looks like pressure is building, the spring is coiled, and is getting ready to break. Pound New Zealand dollar. I have no idea what's going on today with the pound. Looking good, looking healthy. This was a huge move up. This was a huge move down just on the central bank of New Zealand. And then we said yesterday we had pound bid, and now it's just consolidating. You can see where my mouse is right now. You could see the support in here, the resistance here. That's a level. As long as you're above that level here and you resume upwards here, I favor the pound. You get below that level, and then obviously we could be coming down and trading down further. So right here, I definitely have a bullish bias where my mouse is. Let's put a little line. Above this line, you got a definite bullish bias, get below it. And then still bullish bias above the support. But if you get below this line, there's a good chance we're coming down into this area over here where my mouse is and testing that. Gold. Gold looks, let's step back at gold. Let's look at the daily time frame. And here's the breakout for the bull trend. And it's just consolidating here towards the highs. It looks to me, looking at the daily time frame like this, right? It looks to me that we're getting ready to put the next leg in up. There's talk of a possible yuan devaluation coming, that they're going to need to devalue the yuan because of everything that's happened with the coronavirus and the Chinese economy. And if they do that, I think you would expect gold to make a really big move to the upside. So that being said, following the price, following the charts, here's what I'm watching. Keep it simple. Step back, keep it simple. I'm waiting for the break. If we get the break, I will trade the break. Beautiful, Mima. You are definitely with where the momentum is. Let me see. 32645. Oh, beautiful. Above here, this resistance level. You got a fantastic trade right now to hold on to. Anyway, that looks super good and super healthy. You have a fantastic entry now that you could, yeah, because you have the resistance right there. And let's see what develops. It looks like the dollar wants to give up some games today, especially against the euro. If it reverses that, that's just a terrible sign for the euro. Terrible sign. Looking here on the daily, it's been straight down, the exception of this one little tiny bar that was nothing. So euro needs to hold some gains. It needs to come up here. It needs to take a look at this resistance at 0.092 before it figures out what happens next. Again, if it sells off these gains, that's not looking good. It's not looking good at all if it does that. Again, going into the weekend, we've been seeing risk off these past few weeks. I'm looking for that trend to reverse today. Not only that, I'm looking as long as nothing new develops over the weekend that is, and I would have to say, pretty bad, horrific, because of what happened this week when we see the increase of cases and reporting in China. We saw that big right here, that risk on move, and that's been the extent of the move. If the market is able to come up and test this resistance and break it, I think we'll have some pretty prolonged moves. And I'm not buying unless it breaks out myself. Coming into all sorts of resistance over here. This line remains super valid. As a resistance that the market has been paying attention to. Here it was all support. All down here was all resistance, and now it's support again. So this is resistance coming up into here. You don't have much. I'm not calling for the breakout right now. When it does break out, whether that's here, 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 or wherever it is, I will be looking for the next leg up on the breakout. But right now, you're coming into a whole bunch of resistance. You have the resistance, as Mima saying, with it oversold here and here. And then you also have horizontal right there. So it's coming into a confluence of resistance right over there right now. Mima saying it's also overbought. So I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting for a breakout. Euro is bid this morning against all currencies, I'm assuming, not against the Canadian dollar. Looks like it's trying to turn the corner, but the Canadian dollar is the strongest pair going into the session. Euro finally taking a big bounce here versus the Swiss franc. Swiss franc is off versus everything and breaking out above this resistance over here, not to the upside. Let's take a look. So the Swiss franc is super weak because the dollar is coming off as well, but not versus the Swiss franc. Euro, Australian dollar trying to take back this area of support. I think we need to put one down further. as well. It's a blue box area. No, I think we're going to see, yeah, I think we're going to see risk going into the weekend. For the past few weeks, we've seen risk on going into the weekends. And I'm looking for that trend to change. That's what I'm looking to happen. We've always seen for the past few weeks, as people are going into the weekend with this crisis going on, we're seeing big risk on. Big risk off. Japanese yen bid, Swiss franc bid. I'm not. I don't think that's going to continue this weekend. Of course, we have to follow the charts, but I don't. I think we're going to see risk going into the weekend. Riyadh, what's going on? Canadian dollar here looks good coming up into this resistance. Again, I'm following this big line of resistance on multiple pairs. You can see it here clearly on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, and it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good there. Step back here. This is the pound Japanese yen. This is the big resistance. It needs to get clear and get over. Rejected pretty well off of yesterday's nice run up, normal behavior. Australian dollar, you can see it lagging the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar is knocking on the door. Australian dollar has a lot of work to do just to get back up to the door. New Zealand dollar tracking more so the Australian dollar. This is the sharp appreciation this week. It's come back down. It's got still some time to do, and probably euros is far behind, lagging. So the Canadian dollar looks like the leader coming up into this resistance over here. So let's look at the euro, Japanese yen, and let's start from the daily, and it's just been getting pounded, right? So we had this long channel over here, and we had a false break over here, came back into the first area of support, and then made it back into the channel. Came into this sell zone I had up here for a long time, and then when it broke the channel over here, since then, it took out multiple supports. Sorry, this is a support line. This is a resistance line now. It took out multiple supports, and then with the euro this past 8 days just getting wrecked, the yen has also been making its gains. It's coming up now. So the first area of resistance is right here, and it looks to like a good chance we're going to come in and test at least this resistance. When we get up to that area, we're going to have to reevaluate. Right now, I'm not going counter trend here, Euro's bid, but let me say right there. I think 119.70 is a big resistance we're looking into. It's 50 pips up. It's quite a ways. Is it a good counter trend trade here? Probably. I'm not in the habit of taking them, so I won't. I'll look into this resistance and this resistance up here, and if either one of them gives a signal, maybe that's a way to get short. But I'm kind of looking for yen, which has been pretty strong of late, to give up some gains in the next week or so ahead. So I don't love the trade at all. For example, the Canadian dollar in this moment looks a lot better against the yen than the euro. Get above this resistance here, and this looks like it'll lead to the upside. You're also seeing the US dollar, Canadian dollar. looking like it's getting ready to push down to another level as well. So for me, it's about, if it breaks over here, I think we're going to see some follow through. If you're seeing that follow through here and that translates into the other cross, into the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, and you break out over here, you got some nice momentum. And oil looks like it's also, this is tracking the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen to an extent. It looks very similar, the pattern you're looking at. And if we break out over here to oil, it looks like we get to test this resistance here. So it's about finding that wave coming into the markets, and then it's picking that best wave. And between the euro, Japanese yen, even though the euro is bid today, right, or this morning, the euro is bid, and looks like we have 50 pips over here. This is picking a bottom. It's in playing a pair that's very weak, the euro versus the yen. Whereas right now there's momentum here, and if we break out over here to the upside, it looks like a better trade to me. Let's see. We are getting about 10 minutes to the market opening. Euro trading near the highs of the session against the dollar. I do want to, hey, thanks for all those who have already so quickly gone ahead and hit a thumbs up. It's Friday. I appreciate that very much. And just wish you all a really, really good day and good session. Glad to be working here together with all of you. So I do appreciate that. Oh, and you know, I do appreciate also the opportunity for you to. It'd be really helpful in the comments if you include what you think is lacking about our live stream and analysis. If you're so apt for hitting that thumbs down, you know, include some constructive criticism. I'm open for that. All right. So here we go. So by the way, bigger picture type stuff. Yesterday we were talking about the Fed is slightly pulling off some liquidity, and I mean slightly. I think they've been spending. My numbers are off the top of my head. I think it was $120 billion. No, I don't want to give the numbers. I'm not sure. We included the link in the Telegram group. I have the information somewhere, but they're coming off slightly with the liquidity, and it looks like in April is when they're going to actually pull back more liquidity. So let's watch the indexes going into April, right? Or we'll just be alert and watching when they are pulling that liquidity away, and we'll see how the markets react. Probably not well once that happens. So we did see oil was bid also today, and looks like it's breaking out above this resistance over here. All right, that's probably given that extra little bit jump to the Canadian dollar. And the Canadian dollar is looking good and strong today. I'm watching this break over here to the upside. And I'm interested to see what develops on that. Probably not going to be an active trade until next week for me. Happy Valentine's Day. Pound did come off a little bit today, Hanero, across the board, which is so normal after seeing the big gains we saw the day before. We noticed the same thing on all the New Zealand dollar pairs, right? You see these large gains, and then it came off a little bit. New Zealand dollar, US dollar looking like it's trying to get back above this area of now resistance. This looks like a head and shoulders is now developing to me. Let me go ahead and start marking that up a little bit. But you can see left shoulder, head, and now it looks like a right shoulder is developing. I would have to say the neckline is somewhere like that, which pretty much coincides with that resistance right there. Let's check a look at the Australian dollar, US dollar. Almost a similar pattern, but the head and shoulders is not as well defined as on the New Zealand dollar. But you can see left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and I'm not exactly sure how you would draw that neckline in. Probably better with just the resistance right up into this area. That's a good question. Let's look at the pound New Zealand dollar. And so, okay. So looking quite bullish here, the pound New Zealand dollar. Above this area of support, it looks very bullish. If it gets back below it, I think that there's a good chance we come down and test around the whole number, right around 2. Now, while we're above this support here, though, as long as this support holds and we come off of it, it looks very bullish. It looks very bullish above this area of support. And it's a great place to be looking for an entry to the long side because, again, if you get below it at that point, you're wrong on the trade, and it looks like there'll be some follow through to the downside enough that it's tradable. All right, we have about 5 minutes now to the open. Let's see what kind of follow through we get this morning. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Let me go to my pair with the notes in it. I'm not sure why we're not seeing them right here. It's weird. Looks bearish. To me, to be honest, I just want, I gave a really good analysis of this, a really good analysis. Let me include that link for you because you're going to want to watch that video. But just to give you the overview, this looks like it's bottoming to me over here. And we came up and we finally broke this big resistance here earlier in the week. And this looked like finally we had that breakout. And then the New Zealand central bank Tuesday evening in New York stepped in, Wednesday in New Zealand. And they actually said that they're not going to cut rates in 2020. And you saw a sharp New Zealand dollar appreciation, but all the way into the support. And now we're coming back up to be testing this resistance. If we break out here again above this resistance, this breakout was subdued by the central bank because of they just happened to be meeting at the time it was happening. If it breaks out again, then I'm very interested in taking a long position here. And as a position trade, I think that this is a long-term bottom being put in. Now, let me just go ahead and copy the link. This video right here talks all about the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. So if you're interested in the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, that's a video to really check out because it explains it very well. So we've had this move here on, this is mainly the euro. We're all pretty aware of that. So let's just look at the euro then. We've come off so hard and so fast. We've reached such oversold conditions, and oversold was probably right around here, and it remained oversold for so long. It looks like now we're finally getting that bounce, and it could be a big bounce considering how far we've come off and how quickly. Um, Definitely be aware the euro is definitely bid against the dollar and almost everything except the Canadian dollar this morning. It's unchanged versus the Canadian dollar. Now, a pullback up into this area of resistance, that might be interesting. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, I think is maintaining its breakout of the reverse head and shoulders. Yeah. So this is on the daily time frame. I prefer looking at the 8-hour. You can see over here the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, and now the neckline break. And we're back towards the top of this range of this resistance. If we get a break above this resistance, this head and shoulders looks like it's going to play out completely. And you have to watch. I mean, the first target is up here at this resistance over at 6.6697. But and that's about the distance that you'd expect the pattern to reach. So this area over here is where you would need to look, and everything looks pretty good here. All right, euro pushing right now as equities begin to open. And this is really just profit taking on the dollar. And to me, it seems like this was an excuse for people to take profits, and I don't think it's as much euro buying as I do profit taking at this point. But that profit taking could turn in then to more people, not only profit taking, then people who started getting short too low, having to close their trades, and then all of a sudden you could see a sharp rise. Bitcoin remains trading towards the top of its range, looking to take out. Let me jump down to the daily, looking to take out this resistance over here or be rejected by it. It already popped above this area, the highs over here of this spike, and it came off a little bit, but it didn't sell off. So it's coming back up, taking another look. We'll see. We're just a few months away now from the halving. I have to say, because I did it with a YouTube video, and I not only did I do it, I went on record. It was on this date right here. I think it was on November the 21st. And I said 6,500 would be the low in Bitcoin. And, you know, I have to take a victory laps of sorts, because I don't think it looks like it was the low. All right, everything seems stalled out now. Let's see what happens. Let's see if the session picks up a little bit, or what is going to happen. Fantastic thread here by Raoul Pal, the founder of Real Vision. I'm going to just include the link so that you all can take a look at it. Really, really simple, easy to understand. And I think it looks like all of the foreign exchange market participants have gone home. Things are pretty mellowed out right here. Price almost at a standstill. That's a hard question to say. During New York, 100%, it'll be a very quiet session. It's a bank holiday, President's Day, but I have no idea what London is going to look like, or even the Asian Open. I mean, they could both be very volatile, especially after the weekend. You know, the opening is usually pretty volatile. So just Monday, New York, I absolutely think will be a quiet session. But I don't know that necessarily this will be, because there's many times you see it just quiet, and then around 10:30, 10:45 Eastern time, all of a sudden things pick up. So you know, I have no idea, to be honest. Monday New York, absolutely, but I doubt that the Asian Open or London will be quiet. Jackie, 100%. Please do watch that video. Oh no, you're sorry. You're looking at the Australian dollar, Swiss franc. You're sitting tight and pretty. That was Dawala looking for the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Mountain West has got the pulse of the market right there, and that is probably and the Canadian dollar in that mix. But you can see the euro now outperforming the Canadian dollar even, and that was the strongest pair going into the session. And now the dollar's coming off a little bit versus the Canadian dollar. This trend line here remains very well in play. We do break that though, and I expect further downside on the Canadian dollar. Right now, it's a euro story, as well as Mountain West really pointed out, and so far stocks coming off. I don't equate stocks coming off to that being risk off. Here's the barometer for risk on, risk off. And again, she's just currently narrow range, ready to break. Pound Japanese yen off pretty big after yesterday's rise up. You can see this right here, holding this area. So far. Ooh, let's no, we haven't. Let's look at the US dollar, Japanese yen. And this is getting so interesting. We're going to start here on the daily time frame. This is the 5-year trend line. Sorry, let's start it on the weekly, just so you get a quick look at it. This trend line here goes back 5 years, and price now come back up to the daily with me is holding above this support now all week between this resistance and this support. Here you are. And so this is such a critical area. All right. If the support gives way, all right, then obviously we're not breaking out to the upside here, but it looks like it's a matter of time. It looks like eventually there's a good possibility the dollar breaks out here. If and when the dollar breaks out of this trend line, I want to be involved on the upside, because unless unless the situation globally escalates and gets worse, which obviously could easily get worse, or at least, everyone from the CDC to governments around the world are, making preparations and prepared, then you could see that breakout not hold. Otherwise, you got to follow what's happening on the charts, and a big breakout like here could lead to, I mean, I don't know where it could lead to be honest. That's why I want to follow it. Could we see, is it possible we see 120 again if we break out of this? It's entirely possible. But right now, you're in such a narrow range. Getting back to your question, right over, this is the levels you're watching this support over here. If you see risk off coming into the markets and we break down below the support, all right. But this is just 1 week of consolidation. It's getting ready for a big move. All right. So price action continues to be pretty mild right now so far. Euro finally seeing some profit taking going on. Let's see if that profit taking turns into a bigger move or not. Euro, I think Swiss franc might be the leader. Swiss franc seems to be pretty weak to me all around. I think from what I understand from the feedback I definitely have heard over and over again, that the number one reason uh, that everyone here who is with us day in and day out, what's really improved in their trading, this looks like it's really very close to the euro US dollar. The euro Swiss franc is also coming off extremely oversold levels and also bouncing up pretty well this morning. Is that they have really worked on and improved and learned the value of patience in their trading. So we broke the US dollar, Swiss franc broke above, stopped out over here and broke above this resistance over here. Above this resistance, coming back now, just testing it. Yeah, the Swiss franc definitely is the weakest pair today, even weaker than the dollar. And this is actually, again, I see also risk risk off just being abated a little bit. I'm looking for a big turn in that because it's from these levels. If you're able to catch it early enough, it could be a pretty great trades. But this looks like it could be bottoming here on the US dollar Swiss franc. This looks like it could be possibly bottoming here, and you have the inverse head and shoulders over here. And now we're above this strong resistance. And if this holds over here and we resume upwards, I have to say above this strong resistance, which is now broken, if that holds as support, I got to play it as price is developing. Oh, the 1 hour Mountain West. I'm sorry. That's why it's so important to be this now. Yeah, but right into that broken resistance holding as support. So just heads up, you got to get below this broken resistance, which is now support. So far holding. You get below there, and then it's a false breakout. But not yet. It's not a false breakout at this point. Great, Aurelian. I was talking to someone last night about the US dollar, Mexican peso, and they were telling me that this has now become a carry trade. The peso pays 7%, and granted, it's always paid a high interest rate, even why the peso has most of the time depreciated. It was still paying an enormously high interest rate over here, but right now, we have, from what I was told by an investment banker inside Mexico, that this is being used as a carry trade, and it has a higher government rating on bonds than a lot of other emerging market countries, and what's pushing the price down right now is the carry trade, people collecting that interest. I don't know. I could only follow the charts, and 18 looks like a pretty big support area. Let me draw that in. Gold bid. It won't stop. Look at that. Now, the thing about the carry trades is that they work until they don't. They blow up big, right? The Australian dollar, US dollar, going back. This was the crisis. Going into the crisis, enormous carry trade. Crisis hits, trade blows up. Huge carry trade, blows up. So, carry trades work out until they blow up. So always, go for pips over swap. Heath, I'm not sure. I mean, assuming you already tried Googling, um, you could then try, I would Google first on the swap rates. And then if not, try looking under my FX book swap rates. Just again, be careful though. Again, carry trades work out until they blow up big. Definitely so far seeing it looks like yen strengthening here down into this important area of support here, right? You can see right now we're at that important area of support on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Same thing here on the pound Japanese yen. So although I have the feeling we were going to see risk on going into the weekend, hey, listen, whatever happens is what happens, and here we see the possibility of these supports being taken out. So watch closely. Perfect. That makes sense, Heath. Long the U.S. dollar, Mexican peso though, with the way it's trading right now, could really hurt you with the swamp eating at you daily. Next week, the calendar looks pretty good. I'm focused on Friday, but we also have over here on Tuesday the Germany SCW economic sentiment. That's a big one. FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday, obviously a big one. Retail sales out of UK on Thursday. ECB policy minutes. I don't know how much that's going to affect things. And then you have the big data dump on Friday. US dollar, Canadian dollar, pound, euro, huge. But everything is stuck except for the yen's coming into supports all around, even here on the US dollar, Japanese yen into the support. Um, Even here on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, back down into that support. So I think it's pretty important level this morning on the yen pairs. Let's see if they hold support or we take a big turn here. Worse, right? Well, if price is sideways to flat too. Good insight there. Really good insight. Wow. I feel like price hasn't moved in the past 30 minutes. That's probably because price hasn't moved in the past 30 minutes. US equities remain off, right? Long euro, short equities looks like to be the trade of the morning. The market like this, I'm gonna have to get up and do some jumping jacks or push-ups or something. Otherwise I'm gonna fall back asleep. I recorded a awesome video on Bitcoin yesterday. It's a 9 minute, it's an 8 minute video. It's very short also, and I think it's my best video yet on Bitcoin. And it talks about at what price I would be looking to sell in the coming bull market. So I think tomorrow morning I'll go ahead and publish that. And if you have, several minutes over the weekend, I think it's my best video on Bitcoin yet, and highly recommend it. Nice analysts. I do want to be involved in a breakout here. If gold breaks out to the upside, because I think then we're taking out 1600. So, and I was thinking about this last night though, as far as during the 2008 financial crisis, you saw gold get wrecked versus the dollar. Everything got wrecked versus the dollar, and a lot of traders have it in their mind that if that type of crisis were to occur again, that you would see a similar situation. But it might not be the case. It depends what kind of crisis it is. But the thing is that it was just this week the U.S. started paying $1 trillion a year, $1 trillion a year on interest alone on their deficit, which is I think $23 trillion. So gold, I believe, is just in a completely different situation prior to the first financial crisis, which then has begun all of this money printing. All right, let's see if we wake up here a little bit or not. So, by the way, if we do get a breakout on gold, and I'm not looking for that breakout to occur in this session or anything like that, but if we do get a breakout on gold, you guys know I never play the breakout. I will play the breakout in gold. Just coming back to this one over here, this was during the holidays. It was a different beast, but it never came back. I don't want to miss the next leg up without the opportunity to participate. Burpees. I don't know where Jesse is. I need a few shots of espresso this morning. What? First cup of coffee? I've been really into drinking. I'm a coffee lover, but green matcha tea for quite a few months now, and I drink both. But the health benefits of the matcha are so fantastic. Also, it's a much more whereas like with caffeine, you have that big spike and then big crash. The matcha is just a lot more level for a long time. Markets remain subdued. Friday is always a good day here for us to open up to different types of conversations. Oh, I didn't even notice. We just had the Michigan uh, consumer sentiment come in, and it was a little above expectations, and you're not seeing the market stabilize too much off that. So watch over here. Watch if we make another leg lower. We're only a few points away. Let's put a little line over there. Tesla's had a bunch of bad news over the past week or so. It had the Shanghai plant being offline. Of course, also then you have what's going on in China. Obviously, probably people are not looking to buy new electric vehicles, and then Tesla itself is selling a bunch of stock, and price is holding up. Wow, I've seen some very disturbing videos in China. I've seen lots of videos of people on the street without a face mask being brutally taken down by the police and arrested for quarantine. I saw them walk into someone's private residence and overturn a card game and take people away. It's it does look 100% like martial law. It is. People have to be scared to go out to get food because they don't know what the police are going to do to them. The situation is absolutely horrific and terrible. Let me pull up our chart though. This is the new reporting, right? So obviously in China things are horrific. Japan, I think most of these cases are from the cruise ship, so that's kind of iffy, right? Japan has the highest number of reported cases, but a large number of these is from the cruise ship alone. You're seeing over here. Thailand, by the way, has a high number relative cases of recovered. Thailand is using HIV treatments on their patients, and they're responding well. Um, but the rest of the world, for example, the U.S., we've seen over the past, I'll say a week, but maybe 10 days, only 2 or 3 new cases. The latest case was someone that flew from Wuhan into Texas and was quarantined right away at the airport. You're not seeing cases being yet diagnosed from within the countries, and uh, and you're seeing recoveries. In Australia, you've had over half the cases recover. So until we see an escalation outside of China, we're not going to see a huge risk off mood, or until the effects of China on the global economy become more pronounced. Um, so that's what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing cases spread outside of China, especially outside of, again, Japan has that cruise ship, which is accounting for a lot of those cases. Are there tons of cases underreported, in Indonesia? How could there be no cases in Indonesia and cases in Australia and everywhere else bordering it? I mean, there's probably a lot going on that we don't know, but from where we do know, for example, in Europe, in the US, in Canada, in Russia, those cases are not yet spreading within the country, and those are all positive signs. Euro just took a dump here on the on with the dollar. Yeah, stevia is right. That's a good one. Natural sweetener. Um, Monk fruit, also a good one. Um, I give up sugar 100%. Have been diagnosed with Lyme, and I just eat zero sugar. Your taste buds change within a couple of weeks, and then actually everything actually tastes better. I I wouldn't be surprised if it's bleach. I don't know what they're spraying. I don't think anyone knows, and that's scary. Let's take a look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar. So this trend line support continues to hold, coming back up, taking another look at the resistance now. You got to expect that resistance is going to hold until it doesn't. You could probably look at let's try the 4 hour, right? The resistance should be up here. So you're between resistance, support. If you're holding a short off of this resistance, still a good trade. Waiting for a break of this support over here. You get above this resistance, and the dollar reverses everything here, and then there's just no stopping it. It's a beast. Ooh, DJ. Yeah, I'm a big fan also. I'm a big fan of fatty marbled meat. Raw honey. My kids love it. Absolutely, Jackie. Absolutely. Gold's the only thing here that's remaining bid, and indices are trading near their lows. Look like taking a rundown at that support I just had drawn in. I don't know where it went. Maybe it's over here. There you go. Ooh, I think DJ's in this trade also. DJ pointed out this head and shoulders, the neckline over here, and this long trend line both coinciding. Or do they? Is the neckline more like this? I think that's I think this is the trend line, and this is the neckline. Nice call, Steve. Coming into this important support now after this break. We're seeing the yen kind of firm up against just about everything. And although the Swiss franc is weak, we were talking about earlier, and you can see that even the yen is stronger here. So no, I don't know about that. I think even if you do get a bounce off of this support here, you have this neckline which will act as resistance, and then over here you have this trend line now resistance, and this resistance over here. Is maple syrup is delicious? Is it healthy, or is it uh, like agave syrup? I know is not so good for you. Is maple syrup healthy, or is it just delicious? Bacon wrapped in bacon. Tricky session. For me, it's a tricky session. Either way, it's delicious. Going back to our friend Tom of Impact Theory, there's a really good motivational speech. I don't think it's on his channel. Someone else put it together of all his motivational speeches, and they made an awesome montage. It's a really good one. Definitely check that one out when you are able. I'm gonna take a 2 minute break here. I know the market is moving right now and very volatile, so I'm gonna miss a bunch, but I'll be back in 2 minutes. All right. Oh, I think because I simply not adding anything to the conversation right now. Things are pretty muted. Things are pretty slow. It's also Friday, and for sure, you all know by Friday, I get a little quiet around this time of day. Market's slow. It's been we go all at it all week, Monday through Friday, a few hours a day, and this is actually a great time to open up the conversation. You know, to different types of topics that we do like to discuss in here. A lot of us seem to have many of the same interests, or not. But there's nothing really going on in the markets now. We've covered pretty much everything, and I'm just waiting to see. I think I said about 45 minutes ago that around 10:30, 10:45, the market all of a sudden might pick up in volatility. I'm just kind of waiting, see if that happens before calling it a day. But right now, market is pretty subdued. Yeah. So the Telegram group is for those who are participating in the live streams. Uh, it's not a public link, and you know, if someone is here and they're participating, absolutely that invitation's open. So Kima, I mean, I think this is the first time we've seen you. Uh, 1 second, please. Um, and I mean, that's not to say you're not part of the community. Hopefully, you're watching the replays. But again, you know, that invitation's open, but it's kind of not an open public link. Um, this has been this is very similar to the US dollar in that, or even worse, that it's been oversold and it looks like it's bouncing here. It does look like it's bouncing here. I don't like to pick bottoms. If you're going to pick a bottom, this might be a bottom to pick. Get your stop in there because we could come up into this resistance. It's entirely possible. How long that would take to play out, I don't know. But at least you know where you're wrong really quick. But this is a case of just seeing the euro so oversold, and now it's bouncing, it's retracing a little bit here, and whether or not this profit taking turns into actually shorts going underwater, and then becoming like a self part per I can't even say the word, perpetuating like cycle of motion here, and then how high we come up, I don't know. But it does appear finally that the euro is making a counter trend move. Yeah, is that the long term bottom? No, but is it the near term? There's a good chance that we're gonna see a little bit of I'd say right where my mouse is, right here, that resistance over here is the next area you need to look out for, see how price reacts. That's the closest level in play. DXY won't stay down. We are pretty slow going into the weekend here. Mountain West, he said take a look at the 4-hour on the Euro US dollar. We'll take a look at the DXY on the daily, and this is looking at reversals on the DXY, and you can see a few of these reversals here. These are pretty big reversals. You could see that traders got caught off on the wrong side in the same day, right? These big up moves. It looked like it was bull, 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 and then rejected. Bull, 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 rejected. Over here, bull, 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 rejected. And those seem to be big turning points. You could see that happen over and over. Not over here. Not over there, although that's a reversal pattern. Over here, for example, you didn't. You saw that this looks like a weekend though. Opened over here, sold off the next day. On the bottom, not so much. You don't see that as often, but you see long wicks up here. So what's happening today? Well, it depends where we close today. But well, it depends. We'll look at it at the close, and we'll see what kind of pattern we have. Let's stay with it. No, let's stay on together another half hour and see what develops here. This could be, we could see some movement here. Amir, how's it going? Good to see you. Again, because now's a bit of a quiet time in the markets, I'm going to include this link again. This is a good thread. It would take you no more than 3 minutes to read it. Let's take a look around on the 4-hour on our yen pairs. US dollar, Japanese yen struggling here at support, testing it right now. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Also, watch my mouse horizontally, testing and resting on support. Pound, Japanese yen, same exact thing, resting on support. Also, Australian dollar, Japanese yen, testing local support. Also, a little bit higher here. New Zealand dollar holding up all right, but down towards into the support, holding up pretty healthy though. And the euro looks different than all of them. So yeah, the yen is at a pretty critical level. If it breaks down all the support that it's holding on, we could see some big moves possibly into the weekend, or these supports could wind up holding. We'll see. Yeah, Jesse, I see the euro after that, the pound after that big breakout above this strong resistance is now coming back in and testing it. Is the dollar is in a position where it could be weakening also. This could be a nice play coming down now, testing this broken resistance as support now. If it is it to resume upwards. It appears so, but we would like to see the euro taking another run at the session highs, because for how oversold it's been, it hasn't yet really bounced. But I'm looking for it. Wow, nice possible break of this rising wedge here. Could lead to 100 points on the S&P into the support. That looks interesting. I don't know why I have that support there though. Let me see. I think that support's wrong. I don't see support there. $75 pips, we'll call it. Amir, we have a pretty strong how would you say rule of thumb in here. If you're just joining us, I'm really glad you're here with us. I think it's a really good environment for you to be in, with a really great bunch of people in here, a good community, and there's a lot to learn. But if you want to start learning, the thing to do for the first 3 to 5 sessions, whether you watch them live with us, asking or on the replay, is just come in with an open mind and see what's going on first. Watch, listen, and learn. And then once you have an understanding of what you should be doing and how you should be doing it, come in and ask some questions. You're gonna actually increase your knowledge a lot more with that type of posture, opening to learn, rather than coming in and asking questions. Because the thing is you don't know and you don't have any idea. So the questions you're asking at this time are actually not the ones that you need to be asking. Just spend some time with us whenever you can, and definitely go and watch some of the replays that really help you a lot. Just go over to the channel, watch the replays, and really quick you'll have a better understanding of what you need to be doing, and that it's going to help you immensely. Let's see if the euro makes another peak at the highs. Blair, I'm also watching the yen going into the close here, and especially if they hold the support into the close. Let's see if that was the push or not. They're all at an important level going into the weekend here. Oh, that's a good point. I mean, I think if you go into the settings over here, you could change the quality of the stream. And if you put it down, for example, if you put it down, if yours was on 480 and you put it down to 360 or 240, I think it'll come in clearer for you. All right, things are a little slow here. I just want to do a quick check. Oh, Hanero was talking about the martial law earlier. I read a story about this man from who had returned to Beijing and was told to quarantine himself for 14 days. And on day 12, he went out for a drive, and their facial recognition surveillance system caught him on camera, and the authorities showed up at his house. I mean, what a world we're living in. Julian Assange said that uh, our kids will not have the same freedoms that we've had. Hey, Martine, great to see you. Happy day. Really interesting cultural thing. So in the United States, Valentine's Day, and I don't know, I, I, I don't know about Canada, but in the United States, Valentine's Day is one for like your significant other, right? Your girlfriend or your spouse or boyfriend, things like that. In I know in Latin America, it's a holiday not only for that, but also for your friends, and it's really interesting uh, throughout the world, all the different cultural differences. I would stick with it too. By the way, if the dollar overall reverses after finally trying to push down, I mean, there's not much you could say or do about that. But um, when you get into a good entry, until proven wrong, more often than not, it's better to stick with it. I don't know why that is support. That's resistance above. When I use multiple charts, they don't all sync. Yeah, by the Mountain West was talking about the patience it requires, talking about tracking the S&P today and also the euro. And same thing here with the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Um, sometimes trades fall into profit right away, and those are awesome, and it's so easy and it's fantastic. But a large part of it is having the patience to allow trades to develop. Otherwise, you're never going to get the opportunity to take nice size profits. You know where you're wrong. You, this resistance doesn't hold. You're wrong, but you have the possibility, if the trade falls back into favor and you get to take out this trend line support, of this opening up into a nice trade. If the dollar turns here, there's not much we could do about it. Euro in the US session has seen some profit taking and is definitely bid, but so far the move is a little subdued. It seems like a lot of the sellers are holding from a strong position. So the pound, what was it, the day before yesterday? The pound is slightly off today, but I think that's normal after the gains it saw recently. Pound is mildly weak today, but let's check it out. I mean, after coming off this up move, taking out this strong resistance, pound, although slightly off today, is coming back down into this broken resistance, holding as support. So let's see what happens next week if that resumes off of it. And against all pairs, pound is down a little bit, but that's off of this big move yesterday. So that's perfectly normal. Um, Even against the pound, yeah, and same thing, up, just down a little bit. It it looks pretty positive to me and pretty normal after such moves for a little bit of profit taking to come in. So I know it's a slow session, everyone. But I do appreciate you being here with me. I enjoy it, and I'm grateful for it. Dollar looks like it is taking a sharp move. Yeah, Jesse, I would say as long as we're coming back in, we've tested this broken resistance, pretty bullish, off the lows, and as long as this holds, she's in good shape going into next week. Next week, I don't, we have so much data. It's a big week. So those that are tracking, you got Canadian dollar here on oil. This looks like simple breakout and retest. This looks healthy and good. Yen pair still undecided, holding that support we've been at for the last hour. And the DXY is now trading at highs. Not high of the day, but trading up on the day. Let's see if what that print was all about in a little bit. Let's see if that holds or is retraced in the next 15 minutes. Martine, thank you. Appreciate that very much. I must be well off my game. Normally we don't get any thumbs down. We have 2 thumbs down today. People are not happy. Either that or they're just really lonely on Valentine's Day. You know, I don't know what to make of it. I don't really care. Yeah, Jesse too. That's good. That's I got let's say truly although I had 3 trades all stopped out at break even, but they were on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, the Australian dollar, Swiss franc, and the Australian dollar, um, Japanese yen, and US dollar. And when that news hit, right, we were trading up here. Hold on. When the news hit about the increase in cases and the reporting in China, we were trading right over here and it looked like it was breaking out above these resistances, and boom, smack down, all stopped out. If that didn't happen, I I think that I was sitting pretty. This too, we were up here, smack back down. Looked like we were about to break out to the upside on everything, and then it didn't work out up here. It looked like I was about to break out this strong resistance everywhere, and I was planning on holding those well into next week. And we'll see. We'll see if we take another run at them next week. All right, everyone. I think this is a good spot for us to wrap up for the week. Definitely two things that I do want to give you a heads up for. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to publish on the channel a video on Bitcoin and where I'll be looking to sell into the coming bull market. And it's a short video, about 8 minutes. The best video I've ever made on Bitcoin. I think you'll really, really, really enjoy it. And also, out of the goodness and kindness of your heart, if you do, please do like that video. I want to make sure that video gets seen and known. And if you have any input, please comment on it. I'm asking all of you that now. And also on Sunday, as normal, I'll be posting our weekly Forex forecast and analysis for the upcoming week to kind of just reset ourselves, and then have that fresh outlook going in. I did it off the daily timeframes, our fresh outlook going into the next week, and then we'll take it from there. So I wish you all a very, very happy Valentine's Day and a wonderful weekend. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I'll talk to you later.